The Rock, your favorite sports show. I'm here with good old Zach and David from the Lost Tribe crew. What's up, guys?
What's
How we
up?
doing? How
We
we
had
doing? How we
game
doing?
we had game sevens galore on the weekend, like between the NHL and the NBA, like 10 game sevens were going on. First off, let's just start. What was the best game that you guys watched this weekend? Zach, you can go first.
Oh man, there were a lot of good games, but I'm gonna go with one that was, actually competitive. I was a fan of the Celtics Bucks game. I caught a good chunk of the Celtics Bucks game. Ended up being pretty good. Giannis dropped 20 and 20 despite losing in the end. It was competitive for a bit. Got out of hand at the end, but overall, best game seven I watched this weekend.
Yeah, Grant Williams was looking like Larry Bird Jr. with 7 threes and a career high. He led both teams in scoring in that game, which he's never done before. He's never led the Celtics in scoring, and he chose a great time to do it in Game 7. David, what was your favorite Game 7 to watch, considering the Heat 1-6? You were chilling, didn't have to worry.
Yeah, my Heat won in 6, but my Penguins lost. Unfortunately, that was by far the best game, though. Such back and forth battles the entire time. The Penguins were up, down, and then it went to overtime. And so stressful being a fan of a Game 7, going into overtime, and then just to see your team lose is ultimate heartbreak. But it was a great game. The Rangers deserved it the way that Pittsburgh played in the final 5, 6, and 7 games. And the NHL's games in general this weekend blew away the NBA games by far. They were much more competitive, and I had a good time watching those.
Yeah, believe it or not, I can relate to the watching your team lose in heartbreak in Game 7. Being from Toronto and everything, it's only happened, 5 straight years? So it's you get used to it at some point. It starts to hurt a little less each time, but you still wonder, why are you still rooting for this team? What can they possibly do for you? So, it's all still in good fun. Watching the Leafs lose was, at the same time, just as comedic as it was heartbreaking. Hats off to the Lightning and the refs for that. Have you ever seen a pick called in hockey? Like, I know they have it in the NFL and in the NBA, illegal screens. Never seen anything like that.
It is a rule, but it's rarely ever called, and it's so unfortunate that they call that in a playoff Game 7, but it is what it is. I did see one tweet though before we move on, and I couldn't relate to it more, and I think most of us will understand. And it says, "It's moments like these that make me wonder whether I actually like sports or not. It's just 60 minutes of pure stress. Why am I doing this to myself?" And I could not agree more. These people don't know me. They have no idea what I'm doing with my life. They're making more money than I ever will. Yet I care so much and put so much stress on myself. But we do it because we love it.
Yeah,
We
and
do
to
it 'cause
cap
we
things
love it.
off, every year for the past 5 years, I've been disappointed by my Sixers. But then I remember I'm not a Leafs fan, and I feel a little bit better at the end of the day.
Well, speaking of, let's talk about some NBA. We had some crazy Game 7s this weekend, a couple Game 6s as well. Let's start with the hottest topic of the day, Mavs bullying the Suns, winning 4 of the last 5 games of the series after going down 2-0. We heard a lot of Suns and foe chants. We're going to hear a lot of Suns in Cancun chants. I know it's the joke everyone loves to make. So, David, I know we've been seeing a lot about Pat Bev talking crazy on ESPN with Stephen A. and calling CP3 a practice cone. Like, what right does Pat Bev have to be talking about anybody, really?
I mean, Pat Bev, he's a troll on and off the court, so it is what it is. He's good at it, obviously, and I mean, it was great TV this morning, just seeing him on First Take and Get Up. But yeah, the Mavericks took care of business. I mean, the fact that Luka had as many points as Phoenix, it just shows how good of a series Luka Doncic had. And I think he's just reminding the world that he's like a top 3 player in this league. A lot of talk of how Giannis might be taking over as the best player in the game, but Luka's right there, man. And you look at what Luka has to work with. They got rid of Kristaps. They got rid of a big man, and they are doing so much better. Not saying that Dwight Powell's not a great player, but I mean, Dwight Powell.
And Davis Bertans, Maxi Kleba.
I mean, yeah, it's Luka. It's Luka and the boys out there, and I mean,
Boban Marjanovic.
They took care of business. I mean, I've never seen just a team crumble. Like it kind of like they just had an attitude of, oh, we're the Suns. We'll just do what we do and everything will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case. Shout out to Jason Kidd. He did a fantastic job coaching them, coming back from down 2-0 in the series to win 4 straight. It's impressive, including 2 in Phoenix. It's very, very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Luka's a bad man, and we won't get into the next series yet, but man, Phoenix, is Devin Booker slightly overrated a bit? I mean, I know he was maybe in that like 10 to 12 range, but do we dip him down? I mean, Chris Paul, again, can't perform in the playoffs. We thought maybe last year was like the year finally. He made it to the finals. Maybe this year he'll actually win it. And, he turned 37 and everything went to hell for him.
Yeah, and to continue off of it, there's 2 stats that I really noticed about this series and especially this game. First of all, at halftime, the Suns had scored 27 points, the same amount of points that Luka had scored, just showing just how dominant he was. I'm going to bring up a third stat that I remembered I saw on Twitter the other day. But secondly, Devin Booker's Luka special comment in the middle, I believe that was Game 5. The Suns were outscored by 55 points. Booker was negative 62 in those times. And Doncic, of course, was plus 55. Just to show you. And finally,
scored him like 68 to like 30 in the last 2 games of the series.
It's insane. And then finally, like, apparently last night, the Phoenix Suns starters respectively scored 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points in the first half. Like, that's only been done like one other time in NBA history, and that was in like the 90s. And that's just crazy that they scored exactly those points in the starting lineup in 2022, an era known for, tons of offense going on, tons of 3-pointers going on. Jason Kidd was coaching his ass off. I mean, you can look at any clip, you'll see Jason Kidd just doing his damn best to coach the hell out of the Mavericks, and it worked. Luka got revenge on the Luka special comment. He was smiling through the whole thing, I'm sure. And now we get to see the Mavericks, who would have thought, in the conference finals.
Yeah, I saw another quote from Luka. It was, it doesn't take, talking when you're up doesn't mean anything. You got to have, kind of the guts to talk, talk that talk when you're still down 2-0 or down 3-2. And they definitely did. And, shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie. Coming into this season, he had never scored more than 19 points in a playoff game. He did that 3 times in the Jazz series and then never scored above 22 and just outcomes with 30 in Game 7. Him and Doncic are the only duo since Shaq and Kobe to ever score, 30 points in the Game 7.
Insane.
Shout out to him. He had 2 points
right there.
In the game that they lost to the Suns in Game 5. He had 2 points, and to come out in Game 7 with 30, it's just it's special. And yeah, like you said, CP3 and Devin Booker did not score a basket in the first half, and
crazy.
You just cannot have that in an elimination game. And they said they were excited for the pressure of a Game 7. Devin Booker's never played in a Game 7 before. And, that Kardashian-Jenner curse is just living on. It's someone had to mention it at some point.
Yeah, it's fair. But I also remember seeing, what was I going to say? I just had something in my head and I just lost it. Ugh. What was it? Oh, man. Maybe I'll come back to it. It's something about the Suns, of course.
Yeah.
Something Suns bad. Oh, I remember it now. The Suns Twitter account issued some kind of apology on Twitter about an hour or 2 ago. I didn't care to read it because
no way.
No, if you go on the Suns Twitter account, there's some apology. It's like I don't know. It's long. I'm not reading it. They're like we're also heartfelt or something.
Is it very
you can't
similar
really apologize for it?
What were they apologizing for?
They're it's kind of like being we'll do better next time. It's
today is a new day for the Phoenix Suns fans. The work on next season is already underway. This is giving me. Do you guys remember a few years ago when the Tampa Bay Lightning were the best team the NBA has ever seen? And they got swept.
That.
They got swept in the first round to Columbus, a team that hasn't been relevant, and
they issued an apology.
This whole apology, and
same thing.
You know what?
The same thing.
You know what? Then after that sweep, after they got swept, the Tampa Bay Lightning have won back-to-back Stanley Cups. Maybe this is a good omen for Phoenix for next year. Who knows? But it was.
I just like to say, imagine if, I mean, David, you work with the NBA. Imagine if this is your job where you are the Suns' social media person and you have to, your boss says, all right, I need you to upload the halftime score onto Twitter. And you have to go into your phone and write 57-27 at the break. And you just have to get flooded with people talking craziness. Like, what's it like, when they have to post final or final from Phoenix or, get him next time. The captions always kill me when a sports team just got blown out on live TV.
Sometimes they don't write anything. They just post the graphic.
Oh yeah, the Suns have been captionless for all of theirs.
The Lakers, there was a whole study done about like what players they would show on losses, and Russell Westbrook this past season was put on so many loss graphics compared to like win graphics being like LeBron or like AD or whoever was like actually like good that game. Kind of funny, like they did not put LeBron on a single loss graphic. It's probably part of his contract. Let's be real, they're not going to put LeBron on the loss graphic. But thoughts and prayers to the Suns. Just I know, but just still thoughts and prayers to the Suns social team. I was just thinking of it because I remember someone did researched it and like found out like which players were done on the losing graphics. But thoughts and prayers to the Suns social team. You can only imagine what they're going through.
Yeah, that's tough for them. Let's move on from, piggybacking on the Suns. Everyone loves to, jump on them after they lose. Shout out. I have some dear friends who are Suns fans, and I know that they're going through it right now. So let's talk. I mean, we got the Heat and we got the Sixers representatives here. We can give it a quick thought and then move on to what we think about the Eastern Conference Finals. But, Jimmy Butler winning that game, saying they chose Tobias Harris over me to give the $180 million to Zach. David, first thoughts on that game? I know it's been a while ago in the world of sports.
Yeah.
It seems like it was, a year ago already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a minute, but my Sixers, they weren't ready. They didn't play with any heart, especially in the second half. They just did not show up. They didn't want it, quite simply. And there's a lot of questions for the Sixers in the future, especially surrounding James Harden. There's already rumors of Tobias potentially being traded. I just want to clarify that the real choice at the time was between Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons instead of Jimmy Butler or Tobias Harris, because it was basically like, do you ride with Brett Brown and Ben Simmons, or do you ride with Jimmy Butler? And of course, hindsight is totally 2020. We made the absolute wrong decision, horrible decision. Will definitely be like a landmark moment for this team for years to come, unless we somehow get into serious contention. But people are going to be talking about trading Tobias this summer. There might even be talks about trading James Harden. There's a few bench players who are definitely going to be on the chopping block. It's going to be a very eventful summer for the Sixers as they try to rebuild and reload around the core duo or trio, depending if James Harden's involved in that. But Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are two of the only players who are really safe this offseason in my eyes.
Yeah, and super tough with Danny Green with the ACL.
Very tough. I hope he can come back, but he's 35. I mean, if that's a career, 3 rings for him, 3-time NBA champion, been part of many great teams, especially, in San Antonio, great teams there. So, if this is
3-time champion with 3 different teams, classic 3-and-D role player, he's had a great career.
I mean, Danny Green, Lakers legend.
Raptors legend.
Raptors actual legend, but, very, great career for Danny Green. I hope he comes back, but I'm not going to be upset if he decides to pursue a media career, kind of similar to how JJ Redick pursues a media career now.
Great for JJ Redick. Speaking of the media, David, we've talked about Miami a lot this year. Or actually, we haven't talked about Miami a lot this year, and that's because they were always just pretty under the radar, very solid, good team, not a lot of drama, not a lot of diva or superstar anything. The East the East conversation was just so filled with Philly and Brooklyn and Boston and Milwaukee and everything that the Heat kind of flew under the radar to the first seed. And then coming into the playoffs, it was, are they the fake 1 seed? But then we actually saw that the fake 1 seed was residing in the Western Conference. So with these Miami Heat, I mean, they kind of flew through that first round series. And then there was a little scare when Joel Embiid came back, but How are we feeling going into the Eastern Conference Finals?
First of all, no, there wasn't. There was no scare when Joel Embiid came back. There was no scare. No question. The Sixers played better with him. Of course, he's their best player, and in my opinion, he should have been the MVP this season. But we don't have to get into that. Let me just say the one time that my Miami Heat were talked about in the media is when there was that little scuffle and Jimmy Butler almost like threw a punch at Eric Spoelstra and all that nonsense that came out, and everyone thought the Heat were done, you know? I'm pretty sure our very own Zach Zeman said that Tyrese Maxey broke Heat culture, LOL. Since that scuffle happened,
I did tweet
the
that.
Miami Heat have gone 14-4, and Jimmy Butler has averaged nearly 29 points a game since that scuffle, if you want to call it that. Listen, I don't need to gloat. They do what they're supposed to do. It is what it is. I also saw another stat that when I say the Miami Heat have been one of the most successful franchises in the last 20 years, as only them and the San Antonio Spurs have 8 conference finals appearances. Only those 2 teams. The next closest are Cleveland, Boston, and Detroit at 6, Golden State, Los Angeles Lakers at 5, Oklahoma and Phoenix at 4, and then the list goes on and on and on.
David, did you practice this speech in the mirror?
I'm not even close. No. I got it all on Twitter, bro. I got it all on Twitter right here. Listen.
He's really been taking all these notes throughout the season. He's been taking notes.
I got nothing to say. There's nothing to say.
You got nothing better to do.
They're out there. They're playing on the court. They're doing their thing, and they're still playing ball while your Sixers are home, and the Atlanta Hawks are home, and the Milwaukee Bucks are home, and it's going to be a fantastic series against Boston. I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be the same type of situation as you have the best team in the series is not on Miami. Player is not on Miami, but the best team is Miami, and I'm very interested to see how the rookie coach is going to go up against Eric Spoelstra, Ime Udoka. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how that goes down. But again, it's always Heat and 6. It will forever be Heat and 6 until I see something different. And I personally am going to call it now a part 3 of Miami and Dallas in the finals. A part 3. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
That would be sick. I won't lie.
But
your mic sounds delicious, and apparently you're frozen too. That's great, dude. That's what our YouTube comments are saying right now.
It's all good. It's all good. They don't need to see me. They just need to hear the knowledge that I'm telling everybody that it's always Heat and 6. And I'm looking forward to a great series.
It sounds like a computer just spitting out numbers right now. So and your mic's pretty fitting. So
yeah.
Zach,
anyways, man, this is gonna be a tough series. I like both teams heading into this. I mean, of course, Sixers fan, Celtics, a lot of bad blood. Heat, less bad blood. It's really hard to just like pick a side with this, but I mean, it's really hard to argue against, David with his logic with the Heat. I like the Heat they are a complete team. I like the Heat in this series. But at the same time, I think that the Celtics, I honestly kind of like the Celtics in 7 in this one. I think it's going to be a battle of a series regardless. I mean, we've probably all been arguing, the talent could win out in the end to beat the Heat in all the series. And honestly, it hasn't happened yet. I'll admit. Debate a wall. But I don't know. I think that Jason Tatum and hopefully Jaylen Brown gets back here, but that Celtics team has been surprisingly deep as well with their players. I think that they could have the talent to potentially move on. But if the Heat win 6, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if this series is any games less than 6, though. This is a series that I expect to be a hard-fought battle between both teams. Both teams have really good coaching staffs. Both teams have really good talent. Both teams have, pretty solid depth. I'm saying the Heat's depth is definitely better, but the Celtics depth isn't like no joke or anything. I expect this to be at least 6 games. A game 7 should happen in this series because it'd be great, but I expect this to be at least a 6-game series, and I'm going to go with Celtics in 7.
Yeah, I
And
mean, usually when we get to
I
this
do like
point,
the Mavs in the finals as well, but we'll get to our Western Conference
Mhm.
predictions in the second. Because I can honestly be torn between both the Warriors and the Mavs.
Yeah, that's the difficult part about the conference finals is we're just down to that final
It,
four, and
it's just the final four, and I remember saying if the Suns get knocked off, I have no clue who's going to win the championship. Now they're gone. I have no clue who my title favorite
and the
is.
Bucks are gone too. We have both the finalists from last year are knocked out before the conference finals, and like you said, I could go either way in a lot of these different matchups, but and just really thinking about the Warriors Mavs as well, which we'll talk about in a sec, is like who the hell is going to guard Luka? But with regard to the Celtics and the Heat, I'm going to be riding Boston on this one. Sorry, David, but I think Boston in 7 as well. I mean, it seems like Jason Tatum, we were talking a lot about him a week or two ago, coming off that game 3 10-point performance where it looked like Milwaukee was going to start surging. And then he backed that up with 30 points, 34 points, and then 46 points in the 3 following games, and was just phenomenal in closing out and just playing great defense on Giannis for a lot of that series. I think him and Jimmy is going to just be a tremendous matchup. And then watching the Celtics bigs go at it, with Bam, it's going to be a lot of fun watching. Again, you got Marcus Smart and then Kyle Lowry. It's always been, I trust me, I know about, the Marcus Smart, Kyle Lowry matchup. So this is going to be a fun series. I'm excited for it. But just, I mean, it's crazy. I know it's logical, but it's crazy to say that either the Mavs or the Celtics or the Sun, or not the Suns, or the Warriors or the Heat will win the title this year. One of them will be lifting that Larry OB.
Crazy,
And if it's
crazy.
the Mavs Heat and we get a part 3 of the
That would be
series,
insane. That would be awesome. I'd love that. That'd be
and
a
like
great
11
throwback.
11 years after the last one, and just completely different teams, like Dirk's retired, LeBron's been on a couple different teams since then, and
LeBron's still in the
the
league,
only
but
one
he's
still
not anywhere
standing is
close.
Eric Spoelstra, really. And then, I mean, you got Jason Kidd on the Mavs too, so it's a lot of fun. Let's talk about the Warriors Mavs. I'll just give my prediction real quick. This is going to be like one of the hardest series to predict. Like, just it could go either way, really. I had no faith in the Mavs to take down the Suns in 7, as did pretty much anybody. And then they did it, and they went out and did it, and they played great team ball, and Luka was just phenomenal. I have concerns about who the Warriors are going to guard on, going to put on Luka. Is it going to be Draymond? Is it going to be Wiggins? Is it going to be Clay? It's definitely not going to be Steph, but depending how big of a lineup the Mavs run, it could be a huge mismatch. They really only have Kevon Looney, who, while he got 22 boards in game 6, isn't really a great like switch defender or anything. So it's going to be interesting to see what lineup the Warriors run. But ultimately, I'm going to use David's logic of winning this in the past, 10 to 20 years. When we're talking about the Golden State Warriors, they are the championship caliber team, and I'm gonna be riding them in 6 or 7 in this one. But I'll say Warriors in 6. And so, take us away, Zach.
Dang, I mean, it's just really tough because like you think about it and you're just kind of like it's kind of just like Luka versus the world in this. And I mean, I just made my prediction being like the top end talent, could win out with the Celtics in the end. But at the same time, I mean, you look at the Warriors, and on paper they're a really well rounded team, especially with like their starters. Then look at the Mavs, and you're just like, who the hell are half these guys that they're putting out there regularly? Like, I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. is still getting paid $21 million a year, and you're just kind of like, okay, like that's happening. But man, a Luka Tatum finals would be really cool. I might actually have to go with the Mavs in this. I honestly think that, I mean, it really just comes down. I think this is going to be like a coach's duel in a way, because I feel like the Warriors don't have a ton of depth, and the Mavs, while I feel like they're like, it's almost like you don't really know exactly what they're going to be doing with all the other players besides Luka. Like Luka, is going to be the focal point, and you have to focus on him. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm sorry, give me one second. I'm sorry, I'm getting dinner right now.
All right, you're all good. While Zach's doing that, David, tell us your series prediction.
Yeah, no worries. Like I said before, I like Dallas. There's just something about Luka, and I'm just so impressed with the way that Jason Kidd coached the Mavericks, not just in the past series against Phoenix, but even against Utah when they didn't have Luka. Was it the first 2 or 3 games, whatever it was?
3.
Just the way that they were able to keep it close. They even won a game. I think they won 2. Were they up 2-1 at one point? Either way, they kept it close. And it's just I'm getting this vibe right now. And Klay Thompson has been hot and cold. I know Game 6 Klay, that's fine, but he's been hot and cold. Jordan Poole's kind of cooled off a bit. And of course, Steph is Steph. He's going to put up 25, 30 a night. That's just what he does. There's this vibe around Dallas right now that, Luka's going to do his thing, and the other guys are going to step up if they need to step up. Jalen Brunson's going to get a bag this offseason. And yeah, I really like Dallas in this one, and I think they win it in 7. I think it goes the distance, and they win it in Golden State. It's, man, you know what though? I am going to say one thing about the last series. I don't know, because of my job, I'm able to see different angles of the games, and I'm able to see like what goes on in the jumbotron. I don't really watch the main broadcast. Memphis gets lit. I'm not gonna lie, Memphis gets lit when they play "Whoop That Track." That place goes crazy. And that little video of Draymond Green like doing it with them when they were getting blown out by like 70 points or whatever it was. Man, it was just it was a cool place. I was like, damn, I might want to go to a Memphis game one time just to see what it's like in that arena. Now that they're actually a pretty good team.
Yeah.
But no, I like Dallas here. I don't know. There's just a vibe around them. I like what's going on right now. Luka's mad, and I feel like he's one of those guys you don't want to get mad because he's gonna drop 40 on your head and like it's nothing. And
considering he dropped 45 in the game that they lost with only 80 points. And
right. He's not, he's not the
honestly,
fastest guy. He's not the strongest guy, but he's just so savvy. And sometimes it looks like sometimes he's just in slow motion.
David, you are just echoing my thoughts pretty much with this Mavericks team. Like I was saying earlier, I feel like this is going to be like a coaching duel between Steve Kerr and Jason Kidd because Jason Kidd's really stepped up his coaching as of recently. If he can continue this momentum into this series, I think we could be in for a good fight. I mean, it could go the distance to 7. I'm actually going to be a little riskier. I'm going to say Mavs in 6 for this one. If any Warrior says anything about Luka, even like a passing comment,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. If the Warriors stay quiet, then okay, they could win this in like 6 or 7. But if one player says one thing, it is a wrap because Luka just goes insane off of that. I mean, I also want to speak to the fact that Suns-Mavericks rivalry, I think it's going to be like a legit playoff rivalry for years to come. And I'm really excited to see the next Suns-Mavericks like game, if it's ever actually watchable in Eastern time zone standards. It's gonna be
that's true.
Game. Yeah, 11 p.m. Mavs Suns. Let's go.
But that's something you're going to be up at 3 a.m. watching the fourth quarter.
I feel like that could be if Booker still, is still the Suns guy for the foreseeable future, which I think he is, despite, people, wanting him already like shipped off for like how bad he did. I heard a few things like that, not much. He's going to be the Suns guy. And if that's the case, Suns-Mavs is going to be a rivalry for years to come. But as long as Jason Kidd keeps coaching like he's coaching, I really think that the Mavericks could totally win this in 6.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where the Suns end up with Chris Paul being 37 and DeAndre Ayton wanting to get paid.
Yeah,
and then
DeAndre Ayton, that's going to be a very interesting story this summer because there's no guarantees whatsoever with him staying with the Suns at this point. There is no guarantee. It seems like the two are kind of at like a weird spot.
Yeah.
I could see him separating, but I don't know where Ayton's going to end up. It's going to be really weird.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. All right, we're about half an hour into this show. Let's move on to some of the other sections we got. We might have to move our way a little quicker through some of these. So we're going to just talk real quickly about some of the different news that's gone on in the NFL in the last week. And then we'll get to the NHL playoffs, which I know David's excited about. So real quick, I'm going to say whatever happened. You give me your 10-second thoughts on the acquisition. Jarvis Landry joins Who Dat Nation. I know Brian would have loved to talk about it. 1-year deal. Jameis Winston now with Michael Thomas back, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, possibly Alvin Kamara. Thoughts on this offense?
Honestly, it's kind of weird that's a 1-year kind of prove it deal instead of a multi-year, maybe a 2-3 year deal for a little more security. But that offense, if everyone stays healthy, that could be scary. Jameis Winston's, he's been improving slowly but surely. That he could be the Saints guy if he really succeeds this year. Saints are going to be a sleeper team, but it really depends on how team chemistry builds and how that offensive game plan goes. If it goes well, then that could be a really interesting wide receiver group to look at for the next couple of years, especially if Landry resigns. If not, going to go down as a really weird offensive system that just didn't work for some reason. But yeah, I feel like this could be boom or bust, depends on health and scheme.
David, thoughts on Landry?
Tom Brady's in the division, so they're not going to win it. But they're explosive. We'll see how Jameis Winston looks coming off the injury. But, Chris Olave, still a rookie. Michael Thomas hasn't played in 2 years. And, Jarvis Landry, he might have.
Why it's boom or bust?
That was probably the back play more in Cleveland than Jarvis Landry, but because we saw what Odell just did in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Zach. It just seems like a boom or bust situation. I don't think they're not worse than Carolina or Atlanta, that's for sure. I think they're going to be fighting for that wild card spot, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited for Jameis to have those new weapons. Throwing to Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith, and Deontay Harris last year, it's certainly quite the upgrade for him.
Small upgrade for him. Small upgrade.
And don't forget, I know Brian has never let me forget it. Jameis was 5-1 as the starter for the Saints, and the big problem for them later in the season, their defense was always solid, was they just couldn't score more than 20 points in a game. Having Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill at the quarterback for a bit, and it was rough. So hopefully Jameis coming off that injury looks better. And Drew Brees is officially not returning. I know that he apparently caused some buzz in NFL world over the weekend saying he wasn't sure what was next for him, but he is not returning to the Saints. That is for sure as for right now. So we'll move on from that. Packers locked up Jair Alexander 4 years, $80-something million. Looks like the money's just got to be laundering through some nail salon because I don't know where they keep getting it from. But David, thoughts on them keeping Jair, who's arguably the best cornerback in the NFL? He's definitely up there.
Yeah, he's worth the money. Glad he got it. Good for him. Aaron Rodgers can't throw to him, so that sucks. But sure, he's like the Aaron Rodgers of their defense. I guess they had to do something. They had to. They had to have somebody back there. Aaron Rodgers can't throw to him, so, cool. They got a lockdown corner, but I don't really know how this really impacts Green Bay that much in terms of, doing what they can't do, which is score points in the playoffs. There's no question.
Yeah, and it's not like they're getting more help. They've already had this guy for the last 3 years. It's just
exactly. And listen, and they locked him up, and he deserved that money 100%. I love when players get paid, and this guy deserves it 100%. He kind of does fly under the radar a bit, but because he doesn't talk a lot, he doesn't have to. His play does the talking for him. Mm-hmm. But Aaron Rodgers can't throw to him, so. Sure, great, good for him. Yeah. Good for Green Bay. I don't know. Good for him though.
I gotta basically agree. It's a very kind of expected this to happen deal. He's a stud on their defense. I wouldn't say he's the best corner in the league. Someone who's quiet and doesn't talk a lot and still puts some great numbers and is underrated. That'd be Darius Slay right there. Cornerback for the Eagles. But nothing really much to say about this signing. He deserved the money. He got the money. He'll be there in Green Bay for the next 4 years potentially, unless in this league, no contract is untradeable, so you never know. But as far as it sounds, this is a good signing. He's gonna be a stalwart for their defense, whatever defense they have over the next couple of years. That's really it. It's a good signing.
Yeah, and speaking of defensive players, we just got breaking news that Jesse Bates, one of the top defensive players for the Cincinnati Bengals, who got franchise tagged this offseason just said that he will not play. He has no intentions of playing under a franchise tag and is skipping OTAs. I mean, this is a general trend with some players. A lot of guys have done it recently. But Jesse Bates, who was like Pro Bowl level safety, who actually had a pretty bit of a down year last year, despite, going all the way to the Super Bowl with that team. It's funny. Last week, there was the little piece I saw that came out about how he was a cornerstone player of that franchise, and now he does not want to play under a tag. It's going to skip training camp. So funny how that happens in the NFL world.
It's going to be weird.
He made some impactful plays in the playoffs. So I could, if Cincinnati's being a little stubborn, then I can see where he's coming from right there. I think you could make a serious argument that he is one of the 2 or 3 players, along with Joe Burrow, that is like why they made the run that they made. I totally understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you can understand from both sides, because Bates did have a overall down year last year compared to his other years.
He showed up when he needed to. Go get your
I
money,
know he
Jesse.
did. I know
Go
he
get
did.
your money.
I know he did. But I'm just saying, in general, his year last year was a bit down from his normal numbers, but also Jesse Bates showed up when he needed to. So I can understand the tension between the two sides, because I feel like Jesse Bates feels that he deserves that extension. Cincinnati wants to just make sure that he's going to get back to that level. And I see the reason for the franchise tag. I see the reason for the holdout. It's going to be a very interesting story as we see it develop over the next couple months, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, all right, let's change gears. There's not that much else that happened in the NFL this week, other than the Falcons got Bryan Edwards.
They have a wide receiver that's actually playable. Yeah, let's go.
They got a receiver. And honestly, Bryan Edwards was pretty decent on the Raiders.
He was decent. I'm saying they actually have
down.
an NFL caliber wide receiver now.
Yeah,
that is
so good for them. Russell Gage is no longer the number one.
He will work.
Yeah,
I bet Calvin Ridley would have something to say. I bet he would.
Well, too bad. Hey, it's too bad the Packers didn't go get Bryan Edwards, because Aaron Rodgers could actually throw to him, but they didn't, and too bad for them. And lastly, the Dolphins signed Melvin Ingram, adding another piece to that team this side on the defensive side of the ball. Melvin Ingram used to be like a Pro Bowl level, like outside rusher. I don't know how exactly good of a linebacker or anything he is right now, but good for them, I guess.
I'm pretty sure he's a running back.
Melvin Ingram is
Melvin Gordon. Melvin Ingram is a defensive.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, good. Melvin Gordon did resign with the Broncos, though.
My bad. Okay. I'm thinking the wrong thing.
All right. So, without further ado, let's launch.
Melvin Ingram.
Oh, you're just a little.
Melvin Ingram did have a Melvin Ingram did have a bit of a pretty good impact with Kansas City. I will just say that. Now we can move on.
Yeah, it's funny that he ended up on the Chiefs after so long with the Chargers. All right, so MLB. I know David wants to talk about this. The Pirates got no hit and won the game. They got no hit and won the game.
Give us the trophy, man. Listen, I didn't watch it. I was out with family this weekend, but when I got the alert that said the Pittsburgh Pirates got no hit and won, granted it was against the Cincinnati Reds, who might go down as the worst team in MLB history when it's all said and done this season. They still did something that the Yankees couldn't do, the Mets couldn't do, the Dodgers couldn't do, the Phillies couldn't do, the Braves, all the big market teams, they couldn't win a game without getting no hit, and that's exactly what the Pirates did. Give us the World Series trophy. That's all I gotta say on baseball.
Maybe this should be the next challenge for Lost Tribe, is go into MLB The Show and win a game without collecting a single hit.
That'd be tough.
There we go.
That'd be huge. Just recreate it. Pirates, Reds.
Yeah.
What's crazy enough, I saw a few numbers going around. First of all, that does not actually count as a no-hitter because they lost the game. Doesn't actually count as a no-hitter for the Reds at all. So, despite the great performance by their pitchers,
do you have to win? Is that like a?
You have to win. You have to win for it to count as a no-hitter.
Wow.
You actually have to win. Yeah. And this has only happened out of the hundreds of thousands of games in Major League history. This is only the sixth or seventh time it has happened in MLB history, which is insane. The fact that it's happened that many other times as well is kind of crazy to me, but the fact that it's that few at the same time is equally as crazy.
It's just crazy how poor that offense. Like that pitcher was, or the pitcher.
Man, I'm pretty sure like Hunter Green had what was it, 7 great innings, and I think he might have been pulled, and then the next guy just threw 3 walks and then basically a fielder's choice grounder sealed it. It's kind of crazy. That's how you lose it. That's how you. Ugh.
Yeah. Hey,
disgusting.
Another great pitching performance also last night was from Albert Pujols, who went on the mound for the first time in 22 seasons in the MLB. They were up 15-2 in the 9th inning, but he got the job done. He got the 3 outs and closed the game. What was it like seeing Albert Pujols on the mound last night?
Man, that was crazy. Let's not talk about the fact that his ERA is now 36 and he has a 4.0 WHIP. I thought it was just really cool how St. Louis is really just letting Albert Pujols do whatever the hell he wants in his last season. It's a 13. It was a 13-run difference. It's the 9th inning. He cut it down to a 9-run difference because that's just what happened. But for the fans, it was a really cool experience. For Pujols, I'm sure it was a great experience as well. I mean, he wasn't throwing horrible pitches. They were hitting 64. That's not the end of the world for pitching. I mean, I can't throw 64 miles per hour, and he's way older than me. So I'm just saying that's pretty impressive. Really, I mean, if there's one thing I learned just from his pitches of speed, that even though he's he's pretty much washed. He's at the end of his career. He's still a way better athlete than I've ever been in my life, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, pretty cool from Albert Pujols, and like you said, if he can do it at almost 40 after, I mean, he's been in the MLB longer than I have been alive, so pretty crazy for us to even be talking about him when he's been playing Major League Baseball since I was just a thought. So shout out to Albert Pujols. Last topic for MLB. Could Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton each hit 50 bombs this year? It's only been done once ever by Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris.
Yankees as well.
Yankees as well. The Bronx Bombers. Do you think 50 and 50? I mean, these are two of the best, if not the two best, home run hitters in the MLB, and they happen to play for the same team. So I would say certainly it's possible. I mean, it's possible. They Stanton's done it before, so
I feel like it's possible, but it's just a little hard to picture because I mean, it's not like 50 home run seasons are on the same level as a no hitter. They're more on the same level as a perfect game with how rare they are. There's only been 36 50 home run seasons in the history of the MLB. For that to happen, as teammates, two of those 36 to be teammates, that's kind of crazy. That alone's crazy. So you're asking 2 teammates in the modern era, the modern dead ball era, to hit 50 home runs each. I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I mean,
prime Giancarlo Stanton almost knocked 60, so
that's fair. But I'm just saying, right now,
the Marlins. So
yeah.
If I had to pick one of the two, I would lean Aaron Judge, just because
I agree.
He turned down that contract. I think it was $30 million a year by the Yankees. He turned that down and is doing this because he knows he deserves more, and the Yankees are scared, knowing that they're going to have to pay this man more in order to keep him around. And he's just on this tear right now. So if I would have to,
he's already hit 12, I believe, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
Either 10
12.
or 12. And
yeah, I mean, Stanton's hit 10 and everything, but I really think that if either of them are going to hit a 50 home run season, I feel like it's going to be Judge. He already has the slight edge in home runs, and again, like you say, he's trying to prove that contract. And most importantly, he's my fantasy outfielder. He's got to do the best he can for my fantasy team to keep winning. We tied this past week. We got to have a better week. Come on, I need 5 home runs from Judge this week. No, but in all seriousness, I think that he's really going to try to prove his worth to the Yankees. He's got a real reason to hit as many bombs as possible. He's going to be going for them. It's going to be a strikeout or home run kind of situation for Aaron Judge. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but Aaron Judge is still a star in this league. I feel like he's going to be able to make it work.
All right, we got 5 minutes left of this episode. Let's talk about some NHL playoffs real quick because we have totally gone straight over it. So, first off, Maple Leafs, let's just get it out the way. Maple Leafs lose to Lightning in 7. Of course, it was always Game 7. It had been Game 7 from the start. It has been Game 7 since 2013 when they blew the 4-1 lead. So this is nothing new. I was streaming the game on like a 20-inch TV up north for the weekend, and it was fun watching it, but it was just like they never even had a chance. They came out exactly like the Suns came out in Game 7, exactly like the Philadelphia 76ers came out in Game 6, where they just didn't.
Low blow.
They just
Low
didn't have
blow.
the energy.
Wasn't a Game 7. Low blow.
Wasn't a Game 7, but they just came out and they just didn't have the energy. They were down 1-0 for so long. They finally tied up in like 30 seconds later, give up a stupid goal on like a shift change or something. And then obviously Tavares ties it up and then it gets no goal. So it's rough. It happens though. It's always the same. It'll be next year. It's nothing new to me.
I will say this. This exit, again, they haven't won a playoff series since 2004. The Maple Leafs are a joke. But this exit felt different compared to the other ones because they played real hard. Again, last year they lost to Montreal after blowing the 3-1 lead. This just felt a little different. And maybe because Tampa might be a little gassed. Of course, they won back-to-back cups. And, of course, with COVID years, the delay of when times start and then the rapid revamp of the new season starting. They played a lot of hockey in a 2-year span. So maybe that was also an element that Tampa might be tired. But there's just something a little different. And, again, I don't know how many hockey fans we have in this community. But I don't think Toronto blows it up just yet. Maybe if this happens again next year, then you blow it up. But they were right there.
Losses.
They showed the fight that we haven't seen in their other previous first round exits. But again, I mean, listen, I knew you could have played any other team in the Eastern Conference and Toronto probably would have won, but they had to draw the back-to-back champs against the best goalie in the world.
They still took the back-to-back champs to 7, which is not a feat that many other teams have done, so.
And Andrei Vasilevsky is the best goalie in the world. It's awful. I feel bad. I feel bad for Toronto. And again, it's maybe next year. We're saying it again for the Maple Leafs. Maybe next year. But Austin Matthews will probably win MVP, so that could be cool to take home. But who knows?
Yeah, could be cool. Let's flip the switch here and let's talk about the Rangers and the Penguins. We just saw Penguins.
Honestly, I'm just gonna say, as a Flyers fan, it's kind of a lose-lose situation. But the Penguins are the bigger rival out of the two. So in a way, I feel a little bit happy that ended up being the Rangers win now. But
so I didn't actually see the last game this weekend, but I heard that there was a lot of controversy surrounding some high sticking or some own goaling. So can you run us through what happened in this game?
Come on, Yinzer, shine.
Yeah, listen. Pittsburgh blew the 3-1 series lead. And in games 5, 6, and 7, they had multiple goal leads. So I really the Rangers deserve to win this. They came back in every way, shape, or form that they could. But at the same time, if you looked at the season series, New York dominated Pittsburgh this year. And there's no question, the ebbs and flows of sports. We see it all the time. I mean, we saw it. Of course, the New Patriots are an anomaly. That doesn't make sense. What they were able to do in 10, 15-year span makes no sense. We'll never see it again. But there's always those moments where franchises have 5 or 6 years of greatness and then 5 or 6 years of just trying to rebuild it again because of salary caps and, stars moving and whatnot. It happens all the time. So we're seeing that with Pittsburgh now. They're in that regression phase after they won 3 Stanley Cups in 9 years. They have the best player in the world, Sidney Crosby. But again, he's hitting around 34, 35 years old. Their other stud defenseman, Chris Letang, same type of thing. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Evgeny Malkin, unrestricted free agent. That's been the core. They've made the playoffs 16 straight years. It's the longest streak in North American professional sports. But they blew it. And in every way, shape, or form, unfortunately, injuries rattled them as well. Crosby had to miss a game because he got elbowed in the head. The Penguins had to go to their third-string goalie, who is basically a minor league goalie, and still pushed it to 7. So you could say what you want about Pittsburgh blowing the lead, but you can also say the fact that New York could not get done against the injury-riddled Penguins. It took them 7 games and an overtime. So, obviously it sucks being a Penguin fan, but at the same time, I got to see my team move on past round one more times since 2004. And, it is what it is. It's the ebbs and flows of sports, and we'll see what happens with the Penguins next year. Of course, those two of their main 3 guys being unrestricted free agents. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, good for New York. They deserved it. They moved on. And but I do think they're going to get smacked by the Carolina Hurricanes next round.
Man, you know that they've had like a consistent long-term core when even I know those names, like the Malkin, Crosby, Letang. Like even I know that like from way back when.
Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal when Canada in the Olympics. That was unbelievable back in 2010.
I remember sitting in my basement watching it at 10 years old. All right, we got to get out of here. But lastly, let's just give me your picks for the next round. We got Blues, Avalanche, and then Oilers, Flames. In three words or less,
Yeah. All right. Avs in 5. I appreciate this is probably going to be the biggest test for Colorado. I personally think Colorado's going to cheer. Their defenseman, he's probably going to win the Norris as the best defenseman in the league, and he might be the best player in the world. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I like Colorado here. This is going to be a big test, though, because the Blues look really, really good. Jordan Binnington looks really good in net again. He's kind of got that swagger back that they had when they had their cup run in 2019 was the year that they won. But I think this is it for Colorado. The other Western Series, Battle of Alberta between Edmonton and Calgary, that's going to be a heavy-hitting series. If you like physical hockey, that's the one you're going to want to watch. Of course, the quote-unquote best player in the world right now, Connor McDavid in Edmonton, going up against a scrappy Calgary team. Man, that's going to be tough. That's going to be real tough. But just because Sidney Crosby's the GOAT, I'm going to go with Calgary in 7 games. I think it's the distance. It's going to be a physical series. I'm really excited for that. And then out east, like I said, Carolina's going to win it in 5. And then the Battle of Florida, we saw it last year. 2 physical teams that don't really like each other. Florida's on a groove right now. Tampa, like I said, they're still the back-to-back champs. I think the Leafs kind of drained them a bit. But how can I bet against the back-to-back champs again? So I'm going to say Tampa in 6. I hope I'm wrong, though, because I do want to see something new in hockey.
Look,
and,
as
my quick take.
As someone who knows absolutely nothing about hockey, pretty much, especially these teams, I know almost nothing about these teams. I will make the perfect predictions for these 4 series. First of all, Avalanche. It says in our notes that apparently the Avalanche swept the Blues. I want more heartbreak for the Blues, so I'm going Avs in 4. Oilers versus the Calgary Flames. Brian is a Flames fan, and it'd be funny to see him have another meltdown. I'm going to go Oilers in 6. Rangers and Hurricanes. I know the Hurricanes are good. I will match David with the Canes in 5. And then Lightning Panthers. Claude Giroux needs his ring. So I'm going to go. I know the Lightning are really good, though. So I'll go Panthers in 7.
All right, and since I know just as little as Zach, let's real quick. I'll say Avalanche in 4 as well because I know Alpha Dog is a big Blues fan. So Avs in 4. Oilers versus Flames. I mean, you need oil for a flame. It's kind of flammable, but just because we're a Jewish sports podcast, I'm going to take the oil that lasted all 7 games.
Yes.
So I'm going to say the Oilers.
That's smart, though. I like that.
The oil that lasted all 7 games against the Kings, they're going to beat the Flames in 7. So Oilers in 7. If it could go 8 games, I'd say oil in 8, but, you can't. So Canes, I'm going to take the Canes in 5 as well, might as well. And then I'm going to say Tampa Bay as well in 6 because if they at least go the distance, then the Leafs have even more dignity. Like the further Tampa goes, you can say, hey, if they won three straight and we took them to 7, then we took them to 7. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Pass the Rock. Quite a long one.
Ruin 7, baby. Ruin 7.
For about the last hour on YouTube or Facebook, shout out to you. Thanks for joining us, David and Zach, this week. And then next week, Brian will hopefully be back. Or maybe not, and I'll be gone next week. So we'll have some new faces again. But other than that, we had a lot of Game 7s. Let's get excited for conference finals in the NBA and the next round of the NHL playoffs. So
Heat
thanks
and
for sticking with us.
6.
Heat and 6.
Drew in 7.